Hello again, my friends, and a Merry Christmas to all of you that celebrated. It's -4 degrees, 5 in the morning, and today we're going on a 700-kilometre trip to visit a place that's referred to as the German Saxon Switzerland. We'll take a closer look on the consumption in winter, how the drift mode works in a Model 3 performance, and just enjoy a nice relaxing road trip. So I guess we should get going. This was also the last trip I made before getting my winter wheels on, and I was a little unsure if I should do the trip or not, as conditions were not really optimal for summer tyres. The forecast, however, said we should reach 6 to 10 degrees during the day, so I figured it should be okay, and I just drive more cautiously here in the morning. Coincidentally, the first 100 kilometres of this drive will be exactly the same that I drove in summer, when I did a range test of the car. So since we're on the exact same wheel setup, we will be able to directly compare the consumption in summer versus winter. I wanted to keep my speed at 120 kilometers per hour, but unfortunately a dense fog didn't allow me to do so. However, even with these lower speeds, our consumption was considerably higher than that in summer. As you can see here, the conditions were not ideal, with a fog so dense that visibility was no more than 3 road markings ahead. Even the matrix headlights weren't able to magically provide any increased visibility, and we were stuck driving around 70 kilometers per hour. And even then, our consumption kept slowly increasing as we drove along, now sitting at 225 watt-hours. A few of you have asked what I thought about the sexy knob, and I quickly want to showcase what I think is one of the absolute best features you get with this equipment. In their latest update, they integrated the blind spot indicator with the car's LED lighting, meaning you can now get a big visual warning when someone is in your blind spot. I have to say this is probably one of my favourite features ever. A huge benefit in terms of safety, especially when driving when it's dark outside. And in case I indicate when someone is in my blind spot, the lights will start to flash as a warning. Just an awesome feature, really. This is honestly something that every car with interior lighting should have. 120 kilometers later, our consumption is at 233. In our summer test, we were here at 187. It's however worth noting that a large part of this winter test was done at speeds much slower than in summer due to the dense fog we encountered. Once we got a bit further south, conditions were finally improving, and the morning sun gave us a truly stunning view ahead. No long road trip is done without a charging stop though. While I forgot to record the trip data, I can see that our charge level was at 16% on arrival, and when we left we had just finished charging to 95%, meaning we used up 79% charge to drive 230 kilometers. That is not really impressive, to be honest. What, however, is impressive is this view of the sky behind us. Just beautiful. During charging, I suddenly noticed this smoke coming up from underneath the car somewhere. I assume it has something to do with the batteries or maybe the heat pump. Does anyone know what this is? Anyways, part of travelling electric is that you sometimes need to plan your next charging stop ahead. In order to optimise charging speeds, I wanted to get there and back with just enough charge left so that I could utilise the faster charging speeds when the car is at a lower state of charge. So this involves a bit of fiddling around with the map and finding the right charging stations based on the distance you need to drive. It, however, seems that with Tesla's latest update, they have now included a feature that allows you to set the charge level for arrival, meaning that all this is no longer necessary. Unfortunately, this video was shot prior to that update. I am, however, very much looking forward to trying that out in the future. 12 minutes later, and we've added enough charge to continue our journey.
Waiting for the song. Waiting for the song.
I was a bit disappointed, as I had hoped to be there by sunrise, as just imagine the footage with this kind of lighting. Better luck next time, I guess. And here we've arrived, the Saxon Switzerland, which is Germany's only rock national park just a few miles away from the Saxon capital of Dresden. Its name comes from Swiss artists in the 18th century who found the landscape reminiscent of their homeland. The area has a rich history as a source of inspiration for romantic painters, poets and adventurers. The Bastei Bridge, one of its most famous landmarks, was initially a wooden structure built in the early 19th century to allow visitors to explore the cliffs. Later rebuilt in stone, it seamlessly blends with the rugged beauty of the surrounding landscape. For the best way to enjoy the incredible views of Saxon Switzerland, I'd recommend heading to the Skywalk rather than just staying on the Bastei Bridge. From the Skywalk, the panoramic vistas of the Elbe River winding through the sandstone cliffs are absolutely phenomenal, giving you a more expansive perspective of the landscape. To make the most of your visit, go early in the morning, especially during tourist season, when it can get quite crowded later in the day. At that quiet hour, you're likely to have the entire scene to yourself, letting you fully savour the tranquility and beauty of this magical place. For visitors today, Saxon Switzerland offers something truly special. The trails wind through enchanting forests and over sheer cliffs, revealing stunning views at every turn. It's a paradise for hikers and rock climbers, but even those who prefer a more leisurely pace will find plenty to enjoy. While I, of course, didn't cover everything in this video, it's a place that I can highly recommend, especially if you enjoy hiking and nature. And with that checked off the list, let's head back on the road. Driving over here, I remember seeing a parking lot on which I wanted to test the drift mode of the car. Now, for some reason, I just couldn't get it to work. With all assists turned off and with handling balance set to oversteer, it still wouldn't let go of the rear tyres. If any one of you know why this happens, please do let me know, as it would be great to have it working in the upcoming winter. As you may have been able to hear, the stability program kicked in immediately, even when I was full on the throttle and in the drift mode preset. Very strange. Anyways, let's continue onward to the next supercharger, as we may have to charge twice to make it back home. Well, it should be faster if we charge twice, as speeds get so much slower once we're above 40 to 50%. And since the temperature is now 6 degrees and only getting warmer, we can safely drive a bit faster, especially since it looks like we need to make an additional charging stop anyways. This iced coffee is absolutely amazing, by the way. Really, really good. 15 minutes later, we're ready to go. We should arrive at our next charging stop with 10% left, but it may end up being a little less than that. My goal is always to get as close to 5% charge as possible, as the charging speeds are then again faster. As I'm editing this video, I am actually getting quite excited to test out the new route planning settings, where I am able to set these targets and have Tesla work out the planning automatically. Now granted, I am still new in this EV world, and this I didn't quite understand. These chargers should provide speeds of up to 250, but somehow I'm only reaching 100. The charging station is quite full, but it's my understanding that V4 chargers do not share the charging power available. Or am I wrong? During this charging session, it certainly felt like I was being limited, as charging speeds would briefly increase, while cars disconnected and reconnected to the stalls next to. Had I known this beforehand, I certainly wouldn't have stopped charging early at the previous station. I guess it's one of those things you learn along the way of owning an EV. With enough charge to make it home, it was time to continue. Due to a fog hanging over this area, the temperatures had gone below freezing, so I would carefully make my way back. Thankfully, I had my appointment the following week for getting my new winter tyres. And just like that, we made it back in one piece. The consumption for this winter road trip was a combined 244 watt-hours per kilometre. We drove 633 kilometres, and we spent a total of 52 minutes charging. If you include the detours it took from our direct route, we're probably at around an hour total. I'm quite sure that doing the same trip in summer, we'd only need a single stop and perhaps charge for 20 to 30 minutes, so a lot more convenient. Still, I had no issue with these stops along the way, and I did drive quite fast on the way back. This is a frequent issue I'm having, by the way. Does anyone know why the button doesn't work? It also happens at superchargers. Sometimes it does work though. Weird. Anyways, thanks again for watching, guys. One thing I noticed was that I got a nasty stone chip on my front fender. In my next video, I'll try and show how I fix that, as well as go through some of the new accessories I got, including the expensive €3,600 Tesla winter wheels. Have a look at this chip though. Nasty, nasty little bugger. Thanks once more for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Cheers.